Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going into detail of every single rideable vehicle inside of the game of Pavlov Shack. This includes vehicles, tanks, how to drive a tank, operate a tank, repair your tank, and even to counter a tank. Let's start off with finding the map on where you can see these tanks and vehicles for yourself. Now, as of right now, I am unable to find it, but it can be found in the custom section. The map name will be called Every Item, but luckily I have it saved already and we'll be going into demonstration. Here are all of the vehicles that you can drive. We will get to tanks in a little bit. Here is our first one. The first vehicle we have is this truck. And it actually has some good physics to where I have to hold it with both hands. Well, not really both hands, I can hold it with one. So I can just drive around in this truck, and you can also run over people. The visibility is quite limited. And this vehicle can carry up to 4 players, including the driver. Next vehicle we have is the 4-wheeler, or quad. To drive the 4-wheeler, you don't even need to hold these handlebars at all. To go forward, you press the right trigger. To go backwards, you press the left trigger. To turn, you just have to tilt your left trigger's thumbstick. This vehicle only has 2 seats, and you can find this thing on the Pavlov map. Let's move on to the next one. This vehicle right here is called the Kübelwagen. Now this one is a manual too. Now you don't actually have to drive the manual like an actual one, but it does have that like manual type physics. Same thing as before, I have to hold it. But yeah, the actual gas things go in, the clutch goes in, brake goes in, and it actually goes into 5th gear. As of right now, we're in 4th. I think that looks like reverse. You can find this map on the push maps. That is the one where I've seen it on, but it is quite a fun vehicle. It has up to 4 seats. Now this motorcycle has up to 3 seats, and it has the physics much as a quad. You turn it with your thumbstick, you move it, and then you just go with your right thumbstick. Now it has 3 seats being the driver, side thing, and also right behind you. Pretty good vehicle. You can find this on the Pavlov 2 map, and since that is where I found it. Next up, Willys Jeep. Let's get into it. Now, this thing also does have the manual mechanics. Hands on the wheel. Yeah, it does. It does have the manual effects that clutch it, shift in the first to go, and as you speed up, you clutch in the second. This vehicle has 4 seats, and you can find it on the push maps. Let's move on to tanks. There are 4 tanks in total. These 2 right here being the Sherman and this one. You can find it on TDM World War II on Haganah map. You cannot find these 2 on any other map, only on Haganah. Here is the German tank. Now here is how you can drive. Now every tank is different, but generally there are 2 handlebars, the right side of here. Now in a tank there will be a wheel, but we'll get to that later. Both hands on the handlebar, and you have to twist it, because this side actually controls one side of your track. This controls your other side of the track of your tank, and your visibility is quite limited. You cannot see behind you. That's why if you want to see behind you, you either have to ask your turret man on top, or you could just manually turn it around. To get out of the tank, hand up, and then left side trigger, and that's how you get out. Now, we'll move on to the turret next. Here is the side part. Now, if I were having a double right next to me, I would see his body, but this kind of has like the thing of the M240, I think it is, where you shoot it. Now, this stun does have limited ammo. The sight on this gun is not that good. You kind of need it like just direct at where you want to go, and then shoot it. And you can only turn it directly to the right or to the left, so your aim is quite limited. Get out and to the top. Now these two parts, this takes you to the shooter from right here, and from the other side this takes you to the driver. Now there will be two handles on the back side. This will take you to the turret. Let's use the turret. Now there are things printed on for you to reload. First you gotta do is you gotta open up the chamber, grab your thing, and the animation will just make it look like it's going in. It'll drop for you. Put your hand on the back, push it in there. Then you have to close this or else it will not shoot. Close it. Now here is how you actually operate it. Hand on this wheel. To go backwards, lifts it up. To go forward, you push it down or push it forwards. This brings it forward and up and down. Now let's talk about turning left and right. You grab onto this bottom part, and turning it actually to the left, you will turn left. But turning it to the right, you will turn right. Now let's talk about zooming in. You can actually zoom in this thing. Considering that I am on RC1, this is not available on the live edition. To do that, grab your left hand, take your thumbstick, and push it forwards. Pushing it forwards will cause us to zoom in. And zooming in can be quite good on getting your accurate targets. Now let's talk about shooting. This little red button right here is where you shoot it. You just press trigger and it will fire. When X loading the machine, just lift it up and the old cartridge will fall right out. You can actually be quite consistent with shooting your weapon. You might pull out your gun if you grab the wrong thing. You might have to wait a second for your ammo to reload, because when you lift it up, it will respawn. That was tank number 1. Mostly you get to drive this tank a lot on playing on World War II. This one is a bit more uncommon since it only spawns once. Now here is the Sherman Tank, or the American tank. Let's get into it. Let's talk about driving it. Driving it is just the same way as the previous tank, where you have to grab onto these two handlebars. One side controls this side controls the other side. Hands on, push forward. And even has some kind of realistic speedometer effect. Let's turn right. Let's turn left. Kind of same as before. Hand up top, you can get out. Now let's talk about the other side. Same as before. Not that it's an alright weapon. It will shoot, and if I were have to double with here, I can directly see him. Behind me will be the turret. And same as before, your shooting will be very limited. Let's move on to the turret. Now you're actually on the right side instead of being on the left side. To operate this, all of our cartridges will be right here. Grab onto this handle, open it up, grab it, insert it in there, then slide it in. Make sure to close that thing. Now, grab onto this to move down, bring it back to pull it up. Grab onto this handle, and you have to turn it to the left to turn it to the left. Push it to the right to pull it to the right. And to find the printed instructions, here where they are if you ever need any more help. To shoot it, you grab onto this red handle, and remember, you can always zoom in if you want to get them more accurate shots. that is how you drive the Sherman Tank. Now let's move on to the more limited ones. You could find, we'll get to that one in a little bit. This one, I'm only able to find it on this map. This is I believe, the Russian tank. Let's get into it. Driving this tank is just the same as before, where you can grab onto these two handlebars. You will feel like you're a bit low to the ground, but that is alright. Grab onto it and push forward. This tank is actually quite faster than the other ones. Turn right. Driving this tank is quite hard. You have to get some momentum going to actually turn. Well, actually sounds quite different. Hands up to get out of this tank. Let's get onto the other side. The gun is actually going to be placed on your right, so it is really hard to aim this. Grab onto it. And that's how you shoot. There is not really any shooting part, but that's alright. This thing actually does load quite a handful magazine. Let's get out again. Let's talk about loading and shooting this tank. Let's get into it. We are on the left side now. Now, here, this entire mechanical mechanism is different. Here are the instructions printed right here. Now let's talk about opening this thing. The lever hatch is right here. You grab onto your massive cartridge, you slide it right on in. Make sure to close it. Let's talk about going up and down. To go up, to go down, you actually have to turn this to the left. To go up, you have to turn this to the right. When moving to the left, you have to back this backwards to turn to the left. When turning to the right, you have to push it forward. When shooting, the trigger mechanism is right here, and you can also press that thumbstick in to zoom it. Just like that. Unload it, grab a new cartridge, and insert it in. That, my friends, is how you drive the Russian tank. Now let's move on to our next form of tank. This is technically the biggest version of this tank there is out there. I do not remember the name, but this is competitively way bigger. Look how long that barrel is compared to that one. This is quite a beefy tank. Let's talk about driving this tank. Now, you might think that the driving it is right here. Like you turn this wheel, press the trigger, but no. To drive it, you have to put your hands down here. This wheel is just a decoration. Yeah, this is a beast of a tank. Yeah, you might get kind of confused that the turn is right here, but it's actually right here. Let's get out. Alright, to shoot, This gun is the same as the first German tank, being right here. Here's how you shoot it. Now you can't see your partner right here, but barely. Now this tank is way bigger and actually does look a bit more comfy than the other one. Printed instructions are right here on if you ever forget. Open it up, grab this massive cartridge, put it in, insert it, and then close it. To go up, you bring it backwards on this side. To go down, push it forward. To turn left, you grab onto it. You have to turn it to the left, or oscillate it to the left. To turn it to the right, you oscillate it to the right. Remember, there's always that zoom in, so we can actually zoom this in quite a lot. And to fire it, this big red button right here. So as of right now, I just told you all how each tank works. Now what we're going to go into is how to repair a tank, defend a tank, and counter a tank. Alright, let's talk about how do you repair your tanks. To repair a tank, you have to pull out one of these. To operate, I don't know, like the fixer tanky thing, right hand, place it onto your thing, make sure that it's turning, and then press your left trigger to turn it on. Take your hand off. Now once you're doing that, get close to the thing to where it will start repairing. Then once you are done using this thing, it will fall and your tank will be back to big greater health. Now let's talk about countering tanks. To counter a tank, you pull out one of these, or you can use a grenade or a rocket launcher, or anti-tank is what they call. To plant one of these, you press trigger and it will drop on the ground. Now they appear invisible to you, but not on the other team. Now it comes to where the tank driver just has to drive right above it. And then after that, your tank is gone. Now let's talk about one more thing. How can you tell whenever a person is inside of a tank? The middle bar represents the turret. Right bar represents the driver. Left bar represents the side gunman. And that is it. So that is it, everybody. I hope you guys learned a bit more things about every single vehicle in Pavlov that I have found so far. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. This video took a very long, so please subscribe. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'll see y'all on the next video to come.